For those of you that were unaware, Tower of Fantasy held its ultimate beta test this month. The test phase was meant to showcase various different changes that had been made to the game, visual changes made to environment, to lighting, even alterations to the character models to make them more, I don't know, Genshin-like, I guess. At least that's what some people are claiming. But that is not what we're here to talk about today. Today, we're here to talk about information pertaining to the global confirmation made over on our Tower of Fantasy subreddit, which has thousands of community members, just FYI, and the release date that is now public on the TapTap website. You know what else is public though? That subscribe button, which is simple and easy to click, especially if the allure of daily updates on all of your favorite MMOs is something that you're interested in. So let's go ahead here and start this off by talking about the release date. If you navigate on over to the Tower of Fantasy page on the taptap.com website, you will quickly come to notice that next to the game rating, just above the total pre-registrations made for the game, it has a listing that goes on to state December 16th. Is this an indirect confirmation from the developers? I'm aware that TapTap is a platform where both developers and players alike submit information, but something like that should theoretically only be possible at the developer level. Now, before I go any further, I do just want to take a few seconds here to preface this by stating that literally as I was recording this video, Hotta Studio went and they made an announcement that the game is in fact launching on December 16th. So yeah, that's awesome. I know after the ultimate beta test, some players were of the opinion that the game still needed some attention. If the game releases in its current form, then it will likely fail to capture the same attention and player base that Genshin ultimately managed. And many players are expecting Tower of Fantasy to do just that, to be the next Genshin Impact. Unfortunately, I did not have the opportunity to participate in the beta test as MRSSTIX's family was staying with us at the time, so I'm gonna go ahead here and refrain from talking about whether it still needs improvements or not. Nevertheless, a December 16th release date, just a few weeks from now, is it too good to be true? And if it does release, will it be a global release or will it release within China only? Well, that's what we're discussing next. Now, I'm not sure whether this is 100% trustworthy or not, and until Hotta Studio, the team developing Tower of Fantasy, release a public statement confirming it, I would remain skeptical. Nevertheless, a user claiming to be an official representative for Tower of Fantasy's development team began a small Q&A. In this, they went on to confirm a few different things. First and foremost, when asked about the December 2021 release date and a confirmation on the global incarnation of the game, they stated that the global version will not be releasing at the same time as the Chinese version of the game, as our team is heavily polishing the game so it will be ready for launch. Our localization department is still getting sorted out, and I will most likely have that information after the Chinese launch. Again, I do want to stress here that this is not definitive proof of anything. Hotta have not confirmed that this is an official representative for their studio, but it would be asinine of me if I were to completely disregard this altogether. Worth noting is the fact that unlike Genshin, which launched globally for players, Tower of Fantasy will not be. Despite that, they are still in the process of sorting out their localization department. Additionally, even after this ultimate beta test phase, they are still working to polish what they can before the launch of the game, which evidently they completely neglected to confirm or even elaborate on. Community members repeatedly asked for the unconfirmed representative to elaborate on their plans for a global release, especially with information pertaining to if it would be ready at all within 2021 or 2022, to which they responded with, there are plans for a global release, however, we still have a lot of work to do in order to have a successful launch in China. What this means is that they're aware of the need to launch this globally, and they have every intention of doing so, just after they're done with the Chinese version. And if this is legitimate, then once the game is quote unquote here successful in China, which is concerning terminology if I'm going to be honest. If the game is not successful within its country of origin, does that then mean that we will not be receiving the game over here in the West? I truly hope our chances of playing Tower of Fantasy are not dependent on whether or not Chinese players like Genshin or this more. Finally, I noticed that they had actually made one other post on Reddit that was on a separate thread made where someone was claiming that they had information pertaining to the release date of the game. In this, they went on to clarify that we have not started localization for the global release yet, as we are working extremely hard for the 2021 December launch within China, which is actually a little unfortunate to hear because localizing a game can take a substantial length of time. But in summary, Hotta Studio, the development team behind Tower of Fantasy, looks to be targeting December 16th for their release. The game will release within China with no release outside of China slated for 2021. It looks as though they're aiming to release the game globally as well. However, they cannot confirm when specifically that is going to be. Hopefully sometime in 2022 though. The release date may be dependent on how well the game does within China as well, unfortunately. This is all promising news for the most part, in my opinion, for players that are interested in playing Tower of Fantasy. In the meantime, once the game launches, if all goes well, if all goes according to plan next month, while waiting for the game to launch outside of China, then I urge you to either join our community over on Reddit or keep an eye on not only the channel, but also our website, as I will have a guide up on how to go about obtaining access to it and subsequently playing it. Until then, see you guys in tomorrow's video.
Someday soon, I'm gonna make it. Yeah, all hard work's gonna be worth it.